So where's that one place you go to that always smells like durian?
Durian, Asian market. That's the answer.
Does it always smell like durian and yams, ginseng? I feel like whenever you go to any Asian grocery store, it doesn't even matter if it's Japanese,
so?
Korean. I feel like they all smell the same.
I don't know if
Chinese.
I noticed yams,
Oh.
but durian, I remember in UbeMatcha,
Yeah.
when we go to UbeMatcha in Seattle, it's because the produce section is the first one.
Right,
that
when you
see
enter.
When you enter,
Yeah.
and UbeMatcha being a little bit smaller in the Seattle, like they have to cram all the space. So produce are like right when you enter.
Right,
And then I
right.
smell the durian or other fruit like a peach during the season.
Jackfruit.
Jackfruit.
Very pungent smelling
Yeah.
fruits. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. And I think the Asian groceries are essential, I'd say,
Yeah.
to our life, right? Because obviously we can't get all that stuff from American groceries.
Yeah. I think a grocery store is really what differentiates, I think, cultures from each other. And going to get groceries is something you do every week, if not every day, depending on where you live. So I feel like it really does show you who you are culturally, what you eat and, consume on a regular basis. So that's what the episode we're going to be talking about Asian grocery stores.
Yep. And we have different experience, obviously, coming from different backgrounds and some shared experience that we'll also share. But obviously, I grew up in Japan, so I was surrounded by Asian grocery store.
I mean, it was just a
right?
grocery
It's pretty
store
much,
in Japan.
yeah, I guess it is.
It's just the grocery store.
or Japanese grocery store,
Yeah.
I'd say, because if you want to find something that's like a Korean or Chinese or other culture, I think there used to be more like a specialty store that you still have to go.
Oh, in Japan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because here we're like looking at like Asian grocery where it's like a mix of all these cultures.
I mean, they have the primary ones, right? Like,
yeah.
for example, in Seattle, there's Viet Hoa. That's Vietnamese, right? So they have a lot of Vietnamese goods, but then they also have like a lot of Chinese and Japanese and Koreans, like a mishmash of different Asian groceries, like some Filipino too. And then you have like UbeMatcha, which will go into these different grocery stores that we used to shop at in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's a Japanese one, but they have produce from other countries. But what did you think of grocery stores? So compared to Japan, what are grocery stores like in Japan versus the US?
Yeah, so there are definitely different types. Ones that's like a locally owned stores that's smaller. And there's also chain-owned grocery store, which isn't like a typical grocery store. It's like a multi-floor buildings where the first floor might be the grocery, or maybe the ground level is a grocery. And then they might be selling like a clothes in the second floor. And then there's like kids play area, and then there could be a little restaurants even on top. So those are like a bigger ones and tend to be a little bit more high-end in some cases. And there are also value stores, value grocery, where they sell much cheaper things in bulk. If you think about like a Costco, but like a much more smaller scale, it's like you go there every week and just buy everything you can. Whereas the ones nearby your house is more just like, I just need to pick up a few things, but you don't try to shop too much there because it's expensive. And as Asians, we like to save money. And I think there are maybe the last category that I've seen are like a farmer market type thing.
Oh, I see.
Where it's like a tiny little farmer selling their produce. And I don't know if they are the one growing it or they might just be distributor of all the marketed or all the grown produces. So I'll say those are the categories that I can remember in my head. And today it's changing a little bit because Costco is now really popular in Japan.
Oh, in Japan, right? Yeah.
And that may not be a typical grocery because you're buying other things, but people now go to Costco and you will see a lot of YouTube videos of Japanese people shopping Costco stuff. And they look like they might have even better stuff. or more Asian marketed stuff than
compared to
the one
regular
here.
Japanese.
Oh no, compared to the ones
stores?
in the US.
Oh, I see.
When I compare Costco in US,
Oh, Japanese Costco is better.
Costco's. I think so. They look like they have better looking stuff, but they are also targeting large family.
Yeah.
So the quantity is so large that people often buy a thing and they share between multiple families if they have friends or families.
Oh, okay. In the Japanese Costco. That makes sense because a lot of families are more nuclear, I'm assuming. Or they might just have one or two kids. So why do they need 72 rolls of toilet paper?
Yeah, you don't need that, right? So that's why they divide those things up. And in Korea, I think in my faint memory, it is kind of similar to what you see in the K-dramas, where there's like a street of, all the, grandmas and maybe grandpas, like older generation Asian people selling like what they made. Like maybe it's a fish thing or a vegetable thing or pickle things.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I also remember going into a building with a grocery.
Yeah.
That you can purchase. And that's just my faint memory, and that's even like 30 years ago. So I'm pretty sure it's different, but even today when I look at YouTube videos, that's a common thing that's still there, that you can go and go to the street. And I guess that's true in Japan. Like if you go to the Yokocho, places like that, there's still traditional street market where often it's covered and you see like a side-by-side producers selling like fish and all these like a dried stuff.
Yeah.
I guess it's popular. But yeah, that's probably how I'm used to seeing, and then how it's completely quite different coming into the Seattle. Yeah, in the US. You grew up in Seattle. Did you see any transformation or change of grocery like store scenes happening, especially like Asian grocery stores?
I feel like the kind of people that shop at Asian grocery stores is kind of different now. I think there's definitely a lot more different people at just any general Asian grocery store. So I think that's kind of cool that now there's just different people trying out like different foods. I also feel like Asian grocery stores now are less or are more upscale in a way and have like little like restaurants, cafes inside of them versus before they were just like more like a, what do you call it? Like an area where like you just pick up food and do your groceries and then check out and you go home. Like it just has produce or packaged goods. But now it's kind of a place to like hang out. It's less of that like just like do your business and go type thing. It's like, okay, now we're just gonna like chill and eat some like fancy self-serve here and like get some cakes and cool things like that. Like now I think there are a lot more like cool pop-up like sweets places, drink places, those corn dogs, the Korean corn dog places, they're like popping up at different grocery store areas. So now I feel like they have evolved a bit from when I was younger. And I don't know if that's just a Seattle thing.
I think
but
that's true.
What I've just noticed with Asian grocery stores in general. Like they're kind of a cool place to hang out now versus like your parents go there to shop for the smelly foods from when you were a kid because you didn't know like in any way you're like, oh, it just smells kind of different in here, and then they just grab them and then you go. So a little different now.
The Seattle Wajimaya went through a huge renovation projects, and it looks spacious and clean and mostly like white and bright. And everything like in each aisle, I think felt like more,
like more
clean,
modernized.
And the restaurants are like on the side, and there's like a nice, like a deli things. I miss those like sandwiches.
Yeah, you can get like the inari, the sushi, like stuff. Prepared Japanese like food to go that you can grab. Yeah,
and they're like attached to like a restaurants that you can just walk off and then take a turn. I think there used to be a ramen. I don't know if they are still there. And at some point, I think there was some Chinese restaurant attached to the UbeMatcha too?
There is, yeah, I think it's the same ramen
Same
place
one?
that's
Okay.
still there. Yeah, from a long time ago, like years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had like a beer papa. That's like considered,
Yeah,
I
the
think, like a
Japanese chain cream puff
yeah, cream
place.
puff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and those are like a little bit more. Yeah, I would say like upscale
Yeah.
versus like a mom and pop just making like whatever desserts. So yeah, and I think even when the H Mart in Bellevue downtown opened up, they had this cafe tour de jour. I forgot the name. Oh, it's
Oh,
like a
two
French
de
tour de
jour.
jour,
Yeah, yeah.
and that brought in like upscale vibe. Even though the rest of the store, I feel like
Because it's like a little
this is
French
yeah,
inspired bakery attached to the H Mart, which is a Korean
yeah,
supermarket. Yeah.
yeah. That like a little bit of French thing inside
Yeah.
a Korean grocery store. That's a little bit of like, oh yeah, it's a cool place to go
Yeah.
get bakery. I think maybe slight difference. Maybe we're jumping ahead a little bit from what I've seen in Seattle, Bellevue, to what I see in Austin. In Austin, we have a super H Mart,
Yeah.
which is like a mega size, like nothing like we've seen in Seattle. The effort and the space that they dedicate with the concert like space, and with the huge
Oh, at the
food
H Mart
court.
there, yeah, in the food court.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I don't know, there's like 8 food vendors just lined up, and like, oh wow, this is like a next level Asian grocery where it's not the grocery and like a little bit of French bakery that you just take home. It's like you literally would sit down and enjoy the concert and eat, and you would spend like 4 or 5 hours easily in the space, right? And that's like completely different experience than what we're used to, I think, in the Seattle. And maybe that is more common, actually. Not common, but in Japan, we've been to some places where there's like a huge food court area, maybe not directly next to the grocery, but we've seen something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that maybe it's brought in like Korean, Japanese, the glamorous food court concept.
I
Repeat it.
think the karaoke or the performance area is kind of unique, but I feel like
Yeah.
that's probably very Austin. The
Oh,
Linwood
interesting.
H Mart did have a food court though. I remember the food was more like on the homey
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
So there is a food court, but I think yeah, the live performance aspect, because I think we did go to H Mart here in Austin, and there was someone performing. She was singing, and then there was someone playing the guitar
Yeah,
next
yeah,
to
yeah,
her.
yeah, yeah.
So
And it
I
was
think that's
funny
unique to
because I think it
Austin.
was like a Caucasian
Yeah.
couple
Yeah.
singing. It's like,
I was
oh,
like, oh,
interesting
I
mix
didn't
of.
expect that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought it would be like some Asian.
Yeah. She had a
singer or
really
something.
nice voice though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. But yeah, going back to the point you made about the type of people going to grocery being different.
The Asian grocery
Yeah.
store. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did remember, yeah, it was mostly like Asian people going there, but now I see a lot of Caucasians, like black people, and I don't know,
Like
other
Indian,
Indians.
I think a lot of Hispanic. There's just like
Yeah.
a mix of different people that go now.
Yeah.
Which I mean,
They
yeah,
discovered.
that's super cool.
They discovered
Or
umami.
they might be trying to make their own dishes, like
Oh,
cook too. So they
interesting.
need ingredients. I think people these days are more open in general to trying different cuisine. So maybe they're trying to cook at home, or trying to pick up ingredients for a friend, or I don't know. Or it's where they
Yeah.
want to hang out too and discover new things. Yeah.
That's true, yeah. And I think if they follow a lot of social media accounts, there are a lot of Asian food, like from like maybe Tasty may have started
Oh, the
like
trend of
some of the trend.
cooking Asian food, or trying to cook some
Yeah.
dishes. Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
maybe consciously my first time seeing like a Japanese producers like the Rie from the BuzzFeed were probably part of creating recipes of tasty videos, and later like other BuzzFeed videos where she would
Yeah.
introduce a lot of Japanese cooking style. And when that become like a popular in the media, I think people see and like, oh, that's cool. Like I can make it. Whereas if you're handed some Japanese or Korean or Filipino cooking book, you're like, I don't know where to start. I'm not gonna even bother to
Right.
try, right?
Right. Yeah, I think it made it fun because you could actually see the process of making it. And it also showed you that maybe it's not that hard if you're watching it on a video versus just looking through a book. You're like, I don't know exactly how to do the hand movements, especially like with a lot of different types of dishes. Like if you're making wontons or dumplings, like the hand movement is important, and that's really hard to see in a book. Like you need to
Yeah.
watch someone actually do it, or you need to watch a video if you want to learn, right?
Yeah.
So
And even after watching
yeah, it doesn't
video,
make
it's
it
still
easy.
it's still like a difficult to like see the master chefs going really fast, and they try to show us like this is how you fold it.
Yeah.
But I think the video makes like huge difference. I agree, because when I grew up, of course, there's no video. I had to learn from somebody that I know in person. Even when I came to US back in the time, like internet just had like a streaming on like a real network player, like some music videos and stuff. There wasn't like this is how you cook. I guess there was always a cooking show on the TV.
Yeah.
But
Right.
obviously, I wasn't interested in learning, more American cooking because I come from Japan. I wanted to cook more Asian food, and I could only learn from someone I know in person, and I couldn't just watch like tasty video and try to replicate. And for a long time, I tried to bake like a Japanese, not Japanese, I guess, French influenced Japanese baking stuff. And then I couldn't figure out how it's supposed to look
Oh,
because
I
there's only
see.
recipe.
Okay, but there's no end result
Right.
picture.
Or if something is not rising, I have no idea. Like, wait, is this supposed to be how it should look like or not?
Right.
So I kind of envy the new or younger generation where there's all the resources available
Yeah.
to enjoy the multicultural food.
Yeah.
And you go to the grocery and it's all like serving you now, like with all these different multicultural ingredients, and it's easy to find, modernize, and clean. Back in the time, it's more like hole in the wall, maybe, or you have to know
Right.
someone
Right.
to kind of teach you to navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you had this thing. I know that you're taking some of our friends. I think it was still during a few years ago during pandemic where you wanted to just take them grocery shopping.
yeah,
and you
yeah,
thought that was
yeah,
like a
yeah.
fun activity, and you feel like people should do that more. Just like shop together at grocery stores. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was hard to hang out in restaurants because obviously pandemic, a lot of restaurants closed. So it was a nice way to share part of our culture.
Yeah.
And show them, because even when I cook something for
And these friends
friends,
were not Asian; they were
Right,
Caucasian.
Caucasians.
Yeah. Yeah.
and even when we cook something and then show them stuff, it's like you kind of need to teach people how to fish on their own before they can really dive into the cooking of other cultures' food.
Yeah.
If we just cook them and show them here it is, they're not gonna understand. So it is important to show them like here's a source of where you can get the ingredients,
Yeah.
and then like here you can just come and pick it up and you get the same taste or flavor that I just demonstrated by
Right.
bringing the food that I cooked to you. I think something like that. Unfortunately, we didn't continue doing it because now we can just hang out outside or just go to people's home. But that was, I think, a fun experience that would be fun to do
Yeah.
more with the friends or the visitors or guests who stay with us.
Yeah.
That would be a fun experience to go through again.
I mean, I think it's actually fun to go in general to grocery stores with friends and family and shop together, because I feel like you can talk about what you usually eat or don't eat and then recommend things to each other or introduce things that you wouldn't normally because you're there and everything is there that you're thinking you might buy and whatnot. So I think it's fun to go to grocery stores together. I don't know, maybe that's like also in your 30s type thing. Now going to the grocery store is fun.
Or it's just our generation thing. Like maybe, yeah, we're growing up and getting old, and or it could also be our generational thing too. And I think maybe if you're not Asian, you might think the Asian groceries all like is similar,
Yeah.
and like Asian people know what to do, but that's not true.
Yeah.
Because growing up in Japan, I know the Japanese product. I know what's good, what's not good.
Yeah.
But when I look at Korean or Chinese produced product, I have no idea like what's supposed to be good.
Oh, I see. Mm-hmm.
Right? They might have, or even Vietnamese food. Like we go to the pho noodle section and we see like 10 different pho noodles, and like I don't know what to pick. Like
yeah, which one
judged by the
is a good
cover
one, which
or
one
judged
is
by the
not.
ingredients.
Right.
And that's making me now think about something funny. Growing up in Japan, I had no question about ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm older and I look at a lot of products we see that has a lot of like high fructose corn syrup stuff.
Like preservatives or additives.
Yeah, preservatives. Yeah. I was like, oh, I didn't think about it when I was little or when I was in Japan. Like I'm more conscious, or we're more conscious about what we're eating and are careful with what ingredients are ingredient on the back, right? And to realize that some of the stuff coming from my culture isn't maybe quite considered healthy anymore. Maybe back in the time it was okay, like nobody cared. But now we're like, oh shoot.
I think it's probably the food culture now, and I think we're learning more nutritionally about what is actually good for us and not good for us. So I think it's changing how we eat in general. I think there are probably good and bad things in every culture. So
yeah, it's not like,
you know, if you use a
doing a bad job.
prepackaged like sauce, then you kind of have to be more careful that it has some additives or preservatives to make it last, to make it shelf stable, right?
Yeah.
Make it last longer. So it's good to think about those things. Well, now it's really important, I feel like, to think about like your health, especially now that like I feel like there's more focus on making your own food and eating whole foods. But did you have like a favorite section of the grocery store?
I would say I always definitely paid attention to like a snack section.
Yeah, I feel like snack section was my favorite, especially as a kid. I feel like all you want to eat is like sweets or like, I mean, it's like essentially like junk, but it was like really good.
Yeah, it is
like,
junk.
I feel like I ate those. Did you eat those like jelly cups? Like I had inside like a big random container that was like in the shape of like a cartoon character, like an animal or like a cartoon kid, and they would have different flavors of jellies inside. Yeah, so my parents bought that. That would be like my snack. It would be like super colorful because you know they would have like blue or purple or pink jellies in there. I also ate like yam yams, which I feel like is almost like a Pocky knockoff.
Yam
like,
yam?
like
I don't know yam.
I think it's a yam yam. I don't know.
It's
Maybe
like a Pocky knockoff. Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Or maybe Pocky is a knockoff of yam yam because it's like a stick, like a
with that chocolate
strawberry
covered?
covered stick, bread stick, sweet, and you eat it. And I would eat that as a snack a lot too. And then I would just eat like the random cookies. I feel like I was able to eat a lot of, even though I was growing up American, like ate a lot of Asian flavors because I would eat like cookies like the almond cookies. I think those are Chinese, the Chinese almond cookies. And then I would get like random other flavors of cookies that were like ube or pandan that, you know, you would only eat if you're like Filipino or if you were Asian.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's how I was able to experience some of my own culture growing up.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, I wasn't growing up with other Filipinos for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are precious snack because those imported products are extra expensive.
Yeah,
it wasn't produced, right? They had to pay tax and shipping costs. So it's like, oh, I want to eat this, but like, do I want to spend like $1 more than I remember how it's being priced like back in Japan?
Right.
And the perceived value of like, oh my God, this chips that costs like, you know, $4. Like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is worth it to experience the deep flavor with probably lots of preservatives, but it's hard to forget some of the childhood memory of snacks.
Yeah, there's a nostalgia, I feel like, to eating snacks, and snacks is like one easy way, I feel like, to share your culture, bring it
True.
To a party or get together or just to hang out casually.
Although I tried to do that with my office
Yeah.
employees, like I would bring in random snacks, and a lot of people are like skeptical.
Oh.
About like, what is this? Like, this is weird. Like, I'm not gonna try it. And some people are adventurous, but that was a reaction I get in US sometimes. And maybe it was a Seattle thing. I don't know. Maybe in Austin, it's a little bit more
I think people are like
adventurous.
worried too, though, sometimes about allergies or things that
True.
they can't
True.
have. So there are people that are careful about that, like my
Yeah.
brother, right, who can't eat nuts. So he will typically not try anything unless he knows what's in it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something definitely new coming here in US. That's
Yeah.
much more like, I don't know what you say, like much more something people are conscious about. Like I'm gluten-free or vegetarian, vegan. That's rare to hear in Japan because everything is like has gluten and rice and bread and everything has a flavored ingredients of like a fish or like
Yeah,
a
I
meat,
think I saw
chicken.
in what is the name of that chocolate in Japan? The
Chocolate. Oh, the
take.
takenoko or the
Yeah, I think the
yeah,
takenoko.
no sato. Yeah,
I think
takenoko no
there's
sato. Yeah.
I think there's fish in there. If you read the ingredients list,
Is it?
you
fish?
can tell me in the comments
Okay.
if there's fish, but I'm pretty sure I saw fish as an ingredient.
Or was it processed along?
No, I think it was actually in the ingredient list, but
Maybe it's the
someone can
umami.
prove me.
Yeah, maybe it's the umami flavor.
You can prove me wrong if you find out otherwise, but I think there's fish, and I thought that was kind of weird. I still ate it anyway. I still like it, but I'm not pescatarian or vegan or vegetarian, so I'll eat it. But I'm warning you.
Yeah, like they even have like chips with the like a fish raw egg,
Yeah.
like, dried and fried.
I didn't even know the shrimp chips had actual shrimp in them, or I think they're flavored with shrimp.
flavored shrimp. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I didn't know actually. I was just eating them growing, and I was like, oh, it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
because they're not even shaped like shrimp. For some reason, I thought they were going to be shaped like shrimps.
Oh,
If I was eating shrimp chips, so I didn't think about it, and I was like eating it, and then I like looked at the ingredient list some time ago, and I was like, oh, there's actually shrimp in here, like shrimp flavoring.
yeah.
So
like a ground
yeah,
shrimp or something in a powder format.
like
yeah.
a powder. Right.
There's a lot of that, yeah, in Asian grocery where they would powder it up and then sprinkle that on lots of like dry snacks.
One of our friends who used to go to China a lot for business trips used to bring back like unique chips. I remember. I don't remember exactly which one she brought back, but yeah, they had very interesting flavored chips that I would never see.
We recently had a pho flavored Lay's.
Oh yeah.
I forgot where we bought it, but
H Mart actually.
H Mart. Okay, yeah, that was really good. That
I think it was Thai actually. It was a
Thai.
Yeah. So it seems like these unique Asian flavored Lay's chips are Thailand. That's what the writing looks like on it. That's what
made
the
in Thailand
alphabet looks
imported.
like. I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. That's interesting.
Maybe we should ask some Thai people
Yeah.
to explain to us why that is or share more chips with us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it is hard to find the clean version of what we were used to eat, like a barbecue sauce. And we started to turn into more online shopping of some grocery items.
I think it's because we can't find some of those ingredients in stores. Yeah. Especially here in Austin. So if we compare Austin grocery shopping for Asian groceries compared to Seattle, in Seattle, there's a huge variety of Asian grocery stores. So there's Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, Japanese, versus in Austin, there's mainly, I think, Korean, Chinese. There's I think there's one Vietnamese. There are definitely not as many supermarkets here, Asian supermarkets. So that also means some ingredients or goods that we purchased before in Seattle from Asian grocery stores we can't get or is much harder to get.
That's true, yeah.
So that's also why we've turned to using some Asian good delivery services online to get some of those goods.
I think we use Say We, which is, I think it's more Chinese-centric ones, and we order some drinks and shelf-stable things. None of them have like produce.
So for vinegar, like jousting wine,
home meeting, the sweetener that we like it to be clean, and the real one instead of like a fake ones that's at a lot of grocery stores.
Aji mirin is not
Aji
real.
mirin is a fake one. Yeah, it just tastes like it.
Oh, it's like synthetically made to taste like
yeah, because the mirin has alcohol content.
I
So
see.
they had to make, I guess, the non-alcoholic version. So aji mirin tastes like it, but it's not a real mirin. And even the mirin at the grocery stores are not necessarily the cleanest of the ingredients.
Yeah,
or it's not a
true.
pure of itself. So we had to buy online, especially during the time we had to try to find it online if we couldn't go to a grocery store in person. I also tried to order from other online Asian grocery stores, and unfortunately, they didn't deliver in our zip code.
Yeah, we live a little bit outside
Yeah.
of Austin in an area where we don't have any Asian grocery stores, actually. Yeah. So that's another thing. We have to drive at least 40, 45 minutes to get to an Asian grocery store. So
Yeah, that's pretty far.
Yeah.
And it's not like on our way to work or anything.
Yeah.
Like we have to make conscious effort to say, we're going to the Asian grocery store today.
yeah, we need to stock up versus in Seattle, it was like 10, 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
Maybe even less than 10
There was
minutes.
always some pockets. Maybe you don't get to the main thing because
Yeah.
Seattle, Guajimaya was, for me, like a main big one that I can find anything I want.
Right.
But in the local version, like a Bellevue, I'm like, okay, like I can get enough things there. Maybe I
Right.
don't get everything, but that's enough. I wish there were more pockets of that in Austin, so we don't feel like H Mart or the 99 Ranch are like the only options. I know there are little smaller ones, but they're maybe too small. for
There
us
are
to
bigger
take
ones,
time.
but the issue is they're also like more North Austin, which
true.
is
Yeah.
further away from us, or they're closer to Pflugerville, which is like pretty far from us actually. So yeah, where we live, it's not as convenient. So it is easier if we can get our groceries delivered to have them delivered.
Yep, and unfortunately, a lot of them don't deliver to us because they're too far,
Yeah.
right, from us. So we have to go there. So it's like a big day, and that's why I think H Mart in Austin was smart enough to build a food court because we pretty much try to eat there, or near the 99 Ranch.
Yeah.
Like there are restaurants around it because might as well make it a full day,
Right.
get a
right.
lunch and grocery shop and spend 4 or 5 hours there.
Yeah.
Might as well make that effort worth it.
Yeah, spend some time there. Right.
Yeah, I would love to see more Asian groceries or shopping in the Austin or have some online delivered ones as well.
Some options. Yeah. That'd be super nice. I feel like we also tried to scope out the Asian grocery stores before we moved here too, to see what they had. And that was actually one of our requirements, or what we wanted, was to live closer to an Asian grocery store because we go to the grocery store so much. But since that kind of fell off our list when we moved here, because you always have to sacrifice something, right? When you're buying a house, now we have to stock up on things when we do go to the store. So it's just like a matter of planning.
We should eventually get a second fridge or something where we stock things up like our parents did.
Oh my
in
gosh,
their
yeah,
generation.
right? Like a kimchi fridge. No, not
Yeah,
kimchi
fridge. Yeah. Like have a 10 kimchis. Because we
Yeah.
would run out of those things. And it's like, well, it's gonna be another 2 weeks before we're gonna go back there.
Right.
And then you're not gonna have that ingredient for a while. Like we recently ran out of seaweed.
Right.
And we haven't had seaweed for like a couple weeks now. And
Yeah.
we
and,
would tell
and this is the seaweed sheets we're talking about, not just
sheets,
like
yeah.
not the cut ones that are about
the
the
tiny
size,
ones?
because
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
get those at the regular grocery store.
True,
but
yeah. The
yeah.
sheets where you can roll things up.
if you want to roll,
Yeah. And we would tell ourselves like, it's okay, we're gonna go shopping like next
Yeah.
week. But there's a bit of a wait and we have to adjust what we eat based on what we have available, or you have to stock up knowing that you're gonna use those things up. But it's hard to predict.
I think it's probably made us more resourceful. I think about how we use some of our ingredients because we're not going to go to the store as often. And there are a few things that we still can't find here that we have to order online, or I don't know, we have to get from Seattle if we really want it. For example, 100% buckwheat noodles at Wajimaya in Seattle, we could just easily buy it. So it's made of 100% buckwheat, which means it has more like an earthier flavor, has no gluten. So, or because it's not mixed with any flour. But here, you can buy soba noodles, the buckwheat noodles, but they're always mixed with flour. So they have gluten. And I'm not gluten free, but sometimes I just want to eat 100% pure buckwheat noodles, and we can't find that. So
Yeah, and even online, it's hard to find.
Yeah. If
and
you
it could
run
be
one of those stores, go get some 100% buckwheat noodles.
Yeah, it could be some obscure thing where it's only distributed through certain like channels of local distributor and not available like in, let's say, Austin, or not available online. So those are the rare ones that we unfortunately still struggles to find. And whenever I watch like a Japanese TV show, like the ones that talk about here are like a top trending like ingredients made in like a country jarred up, and then they're trying out like, whoa, these are really good, like fresh fish canned on this island, or dried or fermented goods in some other region where they use their regional produce and then pack it up so they can be more shelf stable. None of that I can find here or in Seattle.
Oh, got it.
Those are just like dream ingredients, like, oh, I wonder what it tastes like. And you could only find like best-selling items that's imported, because you kind of need a guarantee
that there's a market for it.
Things selling, right? If it's obscure things, people are probably not willing to try as much here compared to in Asia. Like, you're surrounded by all the common Asian things already, so you might as well try something new, or like a limited quantity, limited season is something a lot of Asian people
it's
like.
Very, right? I think in Asia people eat very seasonally, or they just eat whatever they grow that season. So I think it's healthier in many ways. I think one thing that's really cool now is even in regular grocery stores, we're seeing a lot more Asian produce or food, packaged goods. So that's nice. When we go to Central Market here, we can buy soy sauce or buy
like
bok choy
oil,
or buy
sesame oil, noodle.
We can buy like noodles now, and I mean, of course, the selection isn't as vast
tiny
as an Asian grocery store, but it's nice to know that in a pinch, like, we can go and grab some things. And then we're seeing more like sake in
a lot of sake.
American grocery stores. So that's kind of cool. And there's a Texas sake that we haven't tried yet. And they have a storefront here.
We also tried the one from Utah. The first sake brewing, they imported, I guess, into Austin, because I guess Austin people would like weird stuff. And then we did like buy it. We did drink it. Yeah, it was like a peach flavor sake. And that was interesting. But I think those products that do well in U.S. grocery markets or American grocery markets are the ones who try to globalize and repackage things so that it appeals to the American customer. And none of the ones that I see are like, I don't know how to read this thing. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to buy it. It's all like American label.
I see.
It's all translated. Ingredients are like in English as opposed to like written in like Chinese or Japanese or Korean, where like I don't know what's in it.
Right.
And then often you have to look at the sticker that they put it on top that shows the American ingredient, the English names of those ingredients. But the ones I think at the Central Market or any other grocery store in America are like a translated, globally marketed products.
That makes sense. And I think there's some Asian food that's becoming more popular as a health food, like matcha is obviously becoming more popular.
So they even have like a
everywhere.
Big like a shelf aisle of like matcha, and I was very surprised because sometimes I wonder, wait, like, do American people understand like the differences, or don't they need
between
guide?
matcha?
But maybe they are more culturally assimilated, where like American people get it, they understand it, they've studied it on YouTube, maybe even more knowledgeable about that subject than I do, because I just grew up with it, so I just take it for granted, like it's a thing that I drink, versus someone who studies it might understand like a regional difference and more advanced in knowing what they buy.
Yeah.
As opposed to me just looking at like, this looks expensive. I'm just going to pick a slightly cheaper matcha or something.
Yeah. I still don't see that many Filipino groceries though in normal.
No, I don't see.
Like American grocery stores. So that's still something that you can almost exclusively find at Asian grocery stores. So I think the variety of goods that you can find at Asian grocery stores is really nice because I feel like Asian food in general is very varied. Like the ingredients that we use in a lot of dishes, that I feel like you can try so many things even with just like a few dishes. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's more fun to explore like in an Asian grocery store and to try out like different
a lot of interesting stuff.
Goods. Yeah.
And when it comes to Filipino stuff, I don't even know what's even a Filipino ingredient. I guess other than like some of the vinegar and the sauce they put on lumpia. But other than that,
it's a lot of produce. That's Filipino. There's like a Filipino type of taro, and then okra, and I think what's interesting too is there's a lot of Chinese influence on Filipino cooking. So we use like vegetables like that you would use in Chinese cooking. I just don't know the English name of the vegetables. So I think you can still only buy a lot of those ingredients at an Asian grocery store where they just source a lot of different types of vegetables, fruits. I mean, there are still fruits, though, I feel like that are really hard to find in the U.S. in general. When I was a kid, we used to go to Vancouver, BC, which is up in Canada, and buy fruit and eat it there. Because there was fruit that they had there, like lunsones, that you can only buy. I don't know what that is in English, but it's like a round fruit. But I think you weren't allowed to like import it into the U.S. I think because of maybe preserving the
species.
Yeah, species.
Because it could be invasive.
Yeah, or they don't. There's a delicate balance that they need to keep. But so we'd have to go to Vancouver to get that specific fruit that my parents like grew up eating in the Philippines. So I feel like in many ways, like, yeah, it was more multicultural in Vancouver in some ways than Seattle too. But it was an interesting dichotomy. And I feel like a lot of things when you grow up have to do around food, right? When we go to Vancouver, we go to the Asian grocery store there, go to the Asian market to get food. So it's not that much different.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting thing about like what can be imported. And maybe that's like another episode we can talk about with the Asian restaurants.
Yes.
Because there are like a key ingredients that if you cannot import it, you cannot reproduce the same great flavor you used to have.
That's true, because you have to find a substitute, but then it's not going to taste original, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to like always come up with okay, well, this is my take on Japanese food or Filipino food. I think Filipino food might do more of the adaptation more often, whereas Japanese food, yes, there's adaptation, but you still have to present it like it came from Japan to appeal to like the high end, more pricey price point.
Yeah.
But that's probably yet another big episode that we can talk about, like restaurants, like
that's
Asian
a
restaurants.
Really big topic. But yeah, I think as more Asians come here, hopefully there will be more Asian grocery stores, and hopefully more South Austin or closer to where we live, because we're a little far right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you grow up, or if you are going to the grocery stores, Asian grocery stores here, anywhere in U.S., let us know what's your favorite grocery stores and share any interesting stories you have.
Tell us your favorite aisle of the grocery store.
Tell us your aisle, and we'll see you again in another episode. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of the new episode coming out. And we also have TikTok account, so please follow us there as well. But yeah, until next time, see you.
Bye.